The numbers seemed off. So the highlighted area below. So, and is they faking ratings? I don't know, but we finna talk about it. Adam Silver has found himself in some serious hot water over the management of the WNBA.
No, that's not semantics. I don't think that's semantics to say that.
The WNBA is currently experiencing an explosion of popularity, shattering viewership records and commanding unprecedented commercial attention. Yet, beneath the glossy headlines and staggering growth numbers lies a shocking internal civil war. A silent battle for control, economic survival, and the manufactured narrative of success. This isn't merely about rapid market expansion. It's a high-stakes political showdown driven by money, management failures, and a profound identity crisis regarding who ultimately defines the league's value. To understand the gravity of this crisis, we must expose three interlocking conflicts. Are the league's record-breaking ratings scientifically sound? Who dictates the rules of ownership and market definition, even at the cost of hundreds of millions of dollars? And why is the league's most bankable star being systematically sidelined by the very establishment she helped legitimize? We are about to pull back the curtain on the hidden economic and political agenda that is currently driving the WNBA to a potential implosion. The WNBA recently faced a moment of monumental valuation validation, only to have its leadership publicly reject it. The conflict centers on the potential sale of the Connecticut Sun, an asset that garnered record-breaking offers exceeding $325 million. High-profile investors, including former NBA minority owners Steve Pagliuca and Mark Lasry, stepped up with these massive bids. These figures validated the skyrocketing valuations seen across women's sports, yet the sale remains at a standstill. The immediate trigger for the blockage was simple. Both Pagliuca and Lasry intended to relocate the team. Relocation is typically standard practice in sports leagues under certain conditions, but NBA Commissioner Adam Silver, whose league holds a significant stake in the WNBA, stepped in to publicly defend the WNBA's refusal to permit the sale if relocation was involved. Silver's reasoning introduced a convoluted and highly controversial redefinition of core sports law. He stated that the Mohegan Tribe, the current owners, had every right to sell the team in their market, but moving it to another city constituted buying an expansion market and was therefore prohibited by black-letter law. Silver insisted that teams have different values in different markets and that allowing this sale would circumvent the official expansion process. The critical reveal came when an NBA spokesperson clarified the commissioner's specific, narrow interpretation of the word market. In the context of the Connecticut Sun sale, Silver's definition of market referred solely to the team's home venue, the Mohegan Sun Arena in Enkesville. This interpretation drastically deviates from the traditional understanding of a sports market, which typically encompasses a geographic area, fan base, or broadcast media market. This precise linguistic maneuver reveals a deep strategic agenda on the part of the league's central governance. By legally capping the value of the Sun to its current smaller arena location, the WNBA leadership signaled its willingness to sacrifice hundreds of millions of dollars in immediate, record-high valuation just to maintain total control over future territory. The league explicitly views high-value cities like Boston and Hartford as expansion markets that should go through the official process. This strategy protects the league's ability to charge massive expansion fees in the future, which are already reported to be around $250 million per team for new franchises in cities like Cleveland, Detroit, and Philadelphia. The implication is clear. The WNBA leadership is prioritizing maximizing league-level equity, expansion revenue, over maximizing the value of its current individual assets. This approach generates significant friction with current team owners, who are being forced to accept artificial constraints on their asset valuation just so the central authority can ensure a future windfall. This hardline stance confirms that the league's strategy is less about fostering organic team growth and more about controlling territorial rights as a strategic, multi-billion-dollar future revenue stream. But if the future relies on these massive expansion fees, the league must first convince the world that the current product's audience is legitimate. And that leads us to the heart of the ratings controversy. The success story of the WNBA is often encapsulated by its viewership numbers. The league has produced staggering results, boasting that WNBA Finals Game 1 averaged 1.9 million viewers on ESPN, marking a massive 62% increase from the prior year. This was the most watched finals opener since the league's inaugural year in 1997. This trajectory of double-digit percentage growth has been consistent year over year since 2019, turning the WNBA Finals into one of the fastest-growing properties in all of sports. However, a closer inspection of these record figures reveals a critical methodological controversy that fuels widespread skepticism, transforming these successes into what some analysts call spooky numbers. The integrity of the year-over-year comparisons is fundamentally compromised by Nielsen's rapid and timely changes to its measurement methodology. The first major shift occurred after 2019, which was the final year before Nielsen began including out-of-home viewing in its estimates. This change immediately introduced a built-in advantage to all subsequent viewership reports, accounting for people watching games in public venues like bars and restaurants. The second, more significant change occurred around the 2025 season with the rollout of the Big Data Plus panel measurement system. Analysts confirm that this expansive new methodology gives the current numbers an undeniable built-in advantage over prior seasons. The league's adoption of the most expansive measurement methods available ensures that the reported viewership numbers are maximized. While Nielsen's changes may accurately reflect modern consumption habits, the specific timing of this massive methodological expansion coinciding with the league's highest profile era provides the WNBA with crucial cover. The league can claim unprecedented organic growth even as analysts question the fairness of the comparison baseline. This strategic commercial inflation is designed to project a narrative of explosive, undeniable success, primarily aimed at maximizing the value of future media rights deals. The result is that factual analysis regarding viewership is instantly politicized, turning a business story into a conspiracy narrative where viewers question who is attempting to deceive them and why. The league's spectacular financial projections are therefore built upon a potentially unstable foundation of shifting statistical baselines. This vulnerability is only compounded by the third major controversy, the league's baffling treatment of its most valuable commercial asset. The contradiction at the heart of the WNBA's current boom is the relationship between the league's economic engine and its political establishment. Caitlin Clark is undeniably the league's primary commercial draw. The four most watched games of the 2025 season featured her, including the opener that brought in 2.7 million viewers. She sets the modern baseline for WNBA success, yet despite her magnetic pull, Clark has been systematically subjected to high-profile snubs and dismissiveness from the league's hierarchy. The most publicized rejection was her highly controversial omission from the Olympic roster. Analysts and commentators noted that Clark, despite achieving one of the best rookie seasons in league history, was left off the team in favor of others who were deemed by some critics to be not on CC's level. Furthermore, she failed to garner all-star votes from her own peers. This situation represents a clear, political clash between the league's new, massive commercial audience and its long-established, veteran cultural core. The resistance, which some suggest involves racial dynamics that complicate the narrative of a largely white star overshadowing the efforts of a traditionally black majority league, is viewed by many as a deep-seated cultural resistance to the rapid, instant celebrity she represents. The establishment seems intent on minimizing or actively attempting to erase Clark's impact. Their goal appears to be proving that the WNBA's success is a systemic growth trend, not merely a flash in the pan driven by one player. This conscious decision to sideline the primary driver of record viewership numbers, especially while simultaneously dealing with concerns about ratings integrity, is viewed as catastrophic business management. It signals that the internal politics of the league, the desire to control the narrative of growth and uphold traditional hierarchies, are actively trumping sound commercial judgment. The establishment is essentially hurting its own bottom line in an attempt to send a message about seniority and deference. The failure to manage the league's biggest asset efficiently is deeply rooted in the structural problems plaguing the league's executive office. The crisis of command at the WNBA was devastatingly exposed by Candace Parker, one of the league's most decorated and respected veterans, during her appearances on the Post Moves podcast. Parker's testimony centered on the professional and personal detachment of Commissioner Cathy Engelbert, contrasting it starkly with the active engagement provided by NBA Commissioner Adam Silver. Parker criticized the league's leadership under Engelbert for failing to build essential relationships with the players, asserting that business alignment starts at the top. While Parker was cautious not to directly criticize, others were less restrained, relaying the sentiment that Engelbert was a buffoon who was fundamentally out of touch with the product and the league's ambassadors. Parker provided specific, damning examples of this detachment upon her retirement. When the superstar decided to step away from the game, she noted that she retired and only heard congratulations from Commissioner Engelbert in person 4 months later, when they happened to cross paths at the Phoenix All-Star Game. Furthermore, Engelbert was allegedly absent entirely for Parker's 2 jersey retirement ceremonies. Parker noted that other star players, including Sabrina Ionescu and Elena Delle Donne, shared her feeling of having a much stronger relationship with Silver than with Engelbert. For a league built on the backs of its athletes, this alleged failure to engage personally or professionally with key ambassadors like Parker represents more than just a public relations issue. It signifies a massive management crisis. The management's focus on complex corporate structures and financial metrics appears to have overshadowed the foundational necessity of maintaining player satisfaction and relationship infrastructure. This detachment suggests a profound misunderstanding of the league's cultural ecosystem, creating an enormous leadership vacuum precisely when the league needs stabilization. The leadership vacuum created by Engelbert's perceived detachment was instantly and decisively filled by the NBA Commissioner, Adam Silver. Parker's testimony revealed an astonishing counter-narrative of Silver's hypervigilance and personal engagement, painting him as the effective shadow commissioner who recognized the true value of the WNBA's talent base. Parker recounted that Adam Silver provided consistent personal outreach on numerous significant life and career milestones, events that the WNBA commissioner allegedly ignored. When Parker signed a deal with Amazon to broadcast, she received a congratulatory text from Silver. When she had her third child, Silver sent a personal text message and a baby gift. She stated that Silver sends her a Christmas gift every year. Finally, upon her retirement, Silver sent a personal text message congratulating her on her career and expressing excitement about her future role in the women's game from the sidelines. This staggering disparity in engagement is critical. Silver is Engelbert's boss. His active involvement signals that the NBA recognizes the immense commercial and cultural value of these athletes and is actively protecting its ownership stake by ensuring key talent feels valued, even if the WNBA's dedicated executive office is failing to do so. Silver understands that the league's brand equity is built entirely upon its superstars, and he invested in those relationships where Engelbert allegedly did not. By publicly detailing this contrast, players like Parker are doing more than just airing grievances. They are laying the necessary groundwork for a justified leadership change or an increased formal takeover by the NBA. The players' endorsement of Silver over Engelbert indicates that they perceive Silver as understanding the necessary process and political nuance required to manage a high-growth, culture-driven league. Silver's actions and the players' responses strongly suggest a formal recognition that the WNBA's current executive leadership is not adequately suited to steer the league through this period of unprecedented financial and cultural growth. The accumulation of crises, the politically motivated blockage of a record-breaking sale, the structural uncertainty surrounding the league's inflated ratings, the alienation of its most important star, and the public dismantling of the commissioner's relationships with veterans has inevitably led to widespread speculation. Whispers suggest that WNBA management is actively searching for a replacement for Cathy Engelbert. The timing of this potential leadership change could not be more critical. The next commissioner will be tasked with inheriting a league that has both achieved historic success and created deep internal resentment. They will be immediately responsible for navigating billions of dollars in potential value, including massive future media rights deals and the integration of the explosive yet fragile Clark-era audience. The Golden State Valkyries, for example, are already valued at $500 million, while new expansion fees are reaching $250 million. A new leader will have to immediately address the political damage caused by the current regime. This includes potentially reversing the hardline stance on relocation that has alienated owners and prevented record valuations, while simultaneously reconciling the internal friction caused by the Caitlin Clark phenomenon. The replacement must be capable of bridging the severe cultural gap between the corporate structure and the locker room reality. If Engelbert is ultimately replaced, her departure will be intrinsically linked to an inability to manage the league's cultural transformation, suggesting the next executive must possess deep experience in women's basketball, not just corporate finance. The entire episode underscores a fundamental truth. The WNBA is at a pivotal crossroads, where internal politics and external commercial demands have fully intersected. The choice of the next commissioner will dictate whether the league consolidates its dramatic growth or spirals into further political infighting that jeopardizes its future stability. While the high-stakes financial and political battles rage in the executive offices, the actual quality and management of the on-court product have suffered. Complaints about referee management and physical play are perennial issues, but they become existential when tied to a perceived leadership vacuum. Candace Parker and Aaliyah Boston, for instance, have previously discussed the negative impact of physical play and inconsistent referee calls on the quality of playoff games. They have even suggested structural changes, such as implementing unlimited challenge rules, to address the lack of consistent officiating. These ongoing operational failures, inconsistent calls, fines, and adherence to dress codes are symptoms of a detached corporate leadership. If the league's central management is primarily focused on defending artificially inflated ratings and fighting owners over market definitions, concerns about maintaining fair competition, addressing player complaints, and ensuring the physical integrity of the product inevitably fall to secondary importance. The league's politics have effectively overridden its focus on performance. The convergence of all these controversies, the manufactured ratings, the forbidden sale, the leadership failure, and the sidelining of the league's biggest star, has distracted the league from the essential necessary work of building a fundamentally sustainable, player-focused business. The current spooky state of the WNBA is the direct result of political ambition consistently overriding sound business and player management. The analysis of the WNBA's recent executive decisions and commercial reporting reveals a league caught in a shocking paradox. It is experiencing unprecedented historic growth, yet this growth is arguably built upon fundamentally unstable pillars: manipulated metrics, calculated asset devaluation, and a deep well of internal resentment among key players and owners. The leadership strategy to strictly define market as solely the arena location and block a record $325 million sale confirms a prioritization of future league equity through expansion fees over present owner wealth. This move ensures control over lucrative territories but creates significant investor friction. Simultaneously, the spectacular viewership numbers are strategically bolstered by methodological changes, providing the league with a strong commercial narrative for media rights negotiations, even if the year-over-year comparisons are scientifically unsound. Critically, the WNBA establishment appears willing to self-sabotage its commercial engine, as evidenced by the consistent snubs and alleged attempts to minimize the impact of Caitlin Clark. This internal resistance, coupled with Commissioner Engelbert's catastrophic failure to cultivate essential personal and professional relationships with the league's top talent, a failure highlighted by the astonishing contrast with Adam Silver's active hands-on involvement, paints a picture of a league executive office in chaos. This is not simply a story of a successful sports league maturing, it is a complex narrative of a league politically sacrificing fundamental stability for accelerated headlines-grabbing growth. The most profound question facing the WNBA is not whether it will continue to grow, but whether its current political and executive structure can survive the self-inflicted wounds that are currently jeopardizing its future stability.